Our friends at the Coca-Cola Bottling Company specialize in this message. In addition to that, they wanted me to announce that this will now be 30 cents in Costa Rica. Why is this $1? Why is it $1.50 actually? Why does Coke, and this has to do with the almanac actually, it's about numbers and you can learn from the past. Why does a Coke now cost the same in every country in the world? Why in England, if people make 10 times more than the average citizen do here in Costa Rica, why do people in England pay the exact same when they go to their corner grocery store and buy Coke? You know, Jif, I think it was Jif, peanut butter, $8 for a small little jar like this here in Costa Rica. Why? See those ladies up there? They're not making American money. See those ladies up there? Those are the ladies up there who Coke needs to reprice the world for. You know, when I was growing up, and I used to travel a lot to other countries, it was very affordable. Great for me. But what it was really great for, it was great for the citizens in those countries because they were able to buy things at a price. But, you know, if you really want to know what caused the problem, it's called the Equal Employment Officer in every major corporation in America because they led with a me first. Me gets advanced first over everybody else. Well, that kind of psychology that went into the corporate world about 40 years ago, 1978, pretty much fucking specifically, is when I became a second-class citizen as a white person, even though I'm technically 1.6% African. If I had known that, I would have put that shit down on my college application, 100%. I would have 100% put down that I was African on my college application. Look at my fucking nose. Look at my lips. And I have the DNA report to prove it. But, you know, the reality is I've been fucking shot down my whole life by people that should have been helping me. Right? The blacks, since I actually am one. You can't wrap your fucking head around that fuck you. It's called math. And it's called data. And it's called, yeah, you know, I didn't fucking come this way or my bloodline. We were made this way. But, you know, when we started saying me first in corporate America and we stopped having a meritocracy, and even more to the point, when we stopped letting great people from great families have an equal shot at jobs, and we made people like me that came from intelligent, educated families where we had to sit back, what happened is you had a lot of first-timers who were poor, didn't come from anything, and they were in positions of power now. Well, they do in America what they do everywhere else in the world for a beginning of time. Fuck yeah, we're here, motherfuckers, and we're not gonna let this shit go, you bitch motherfuckers. We've been fighting our whole fucking life for this, and we're not gonna give it up. Well, unfortunately, when you have someone called the Equal Employment Officer at Nike and Adidas, and that's their fucking mindset, there's a cascading effect that, believe it or not, leads to that woman paying the same for Coca-Cola that everyone else in the world does, even though they'll make 10 times more. Why? Because if you came from a wealthy family, like me, wealthy-ish, you know, well, by these people's standards, right? We weren't rich, but we never fucking starved for anything, right? We didn't stay at nice hotels a lot. We did, but my father would rather stay at a hotel next to the train station with the prostitutes in there, but take us to a 2 or 3 star Michelin restaurant and have today's equivalent of a $2,000 meal. And he was right. Maybe. Well, for me it was, because I've spent my whole life working at hotels, but I haven't spent my whole life eating at the best restaurants. So it worked out for me. It made me well-rounded. But if I'd been in positions of leadership in a lot of other white great families and their children had been allowed to progress, when we were in the boardroom and we were thinking about our global expansion and rolling out of new products, the first thing we would say is, let's make sure we make it affordable for the people we're selling it to, because we would have had what some in the black community would say was a life of privilege, where we got to travel. In white man's word, that means we got to know them, got to see them as humans, and see them that they're just like us, and so that when we were if we had been allowed to make decisions in the boardroom, we would have said fuck no to anybody at the Coca-Cola Bottling Company that said, yeah, you know what, the Rio Olympics are coming up, and we can make a lot of fucking money, but if we raise the prices to standardized prices, we'll make 5 times the revenue. Because why would we want people coming all around the world and buying Coke for half off? See that? Sports has destroyed most places in the world because it allowed for single unit pricing, standardized pricing. You know, if Coke can't fucking step their game up, then we need to fucking hack that recipe and call it Costa Rican Coke. And Bolivian Coke can have the same fucking drink, just 30 cents or 50 cents. It's like tickets for concerts for Costa Rica. They're $150 fucking dollars. That's why there were no teenagers there yesterday. Last thing I want to leave you with, and this is fucking scary to me. Let's walk through. So, you know, I use this Roman cross character to convey very important ideas. And when the News and Observer had my login information, that's the most important newspaper in North Carolina, they had my login information on Instagram, thanks to the traders at UNC Zeta. It's all right. Worked out for me. Because there's a parent company that owns the News and Observer and on and up. And they chose not to run a story about what the contents were. Okay? Well, here's the fucking scary thing. If they are doing their job, they'll find out that there are many buildings at the University of North Carolina that have toxins in them because I made lots of videos about them and I posted them to the Instagram account for the women at Zeta to see. And yet, when they handed off the passcode information to the News and Observer, well, then that made it impossible for fellow students at Carolina to know that there's toxins in the student center and in the library. Now, I'm called a good person because I take my ideas and I get them to light. Well, you know, what I mostly do is I come up with solutions to problems that I'm seeing. But what happens when you have a world where you have some really great fucking writers, right, writing books like Robert Ludlum about a nano invasion, or you have great detective books. Whew, here's another almanac from 1994. But guys, there are so many good books in here about killing and about treacherous plots. The problem is they're really great fucking ideas and they all would work if implemented. Well, let's just assume, and it's hard to wrap your head around it because we live in such a nice world, but imagine if there was a spy agency called Japan's or Russia's or China's. They didn't like us, but they had access to the best, greatest American writers who used to work for law enforcement or spy agencies, and now they're writing out the best in detail plots, including with exact language on how to facilitate a conversation if you wanted to recruit somebody in America and get them to put toxins in the water system. All of those books do that. Now, unfortunately, America didn't have intelligent people in charge that were impervious to being corrupt who said, all right, well, if other people are reading these fucking books and doing these things to us, we need to make sure there's countermeasures. But, you know, those are just books. That's one thing. But the problem is when you have an almanac that gives foreign intelligence agencies everything they need, such as our federal budget. Okay? Let me actually turn this around. Our federal budget. See, that's where the 14% interest comes from. We give half our money to the United Kingdom and European banking houses out of taxes. It's crazy. The next one I think I bookmarked in here. Let's see, what do we have? What do we have here? Mergers and acquisitions and U.S. expenditure by media. It actually shows which companies are spending a lot of money and which ones aren't also doing very well. Foreign spy agency, and you want to kind of make a good move into America, you identify which companies are spending a lot of money on advertising, which ones over the years have maybe gone down, such as maybe number 14, and say, hey, you want to get back to number 1, we can help you. Run these ad campaigns for us to break down the white pride, for example. crime and punishment. Talks a lot about statistics, but it's by state and by city. So if you see one city over time, all of a sudden get a huge uptick, gee, you might want to fucking look into that one. This will be sponsored by Marlboro. Health and medicine. Talks about our expenditures in the public and private sector. This from 1991 will look a lot different now and today. Okay. Talks about baby boomers in colleges, scores, guys. Talks about your busiest airports in the world. So if you know which ones you don't want to attack, maybe start on the smaller ones. Guys, this has every piece of information you need in here to destroy America. And all you need, if you weren't smart already, is somebody very smart and with novels telling you how to fucking attack America. And then the only other thing you need after the data, which comes in here, right? You need the data. Well, you also need a fucking spy agency, or at least you need one country that's fucking pissed. Do you think America could possibly have one country that doesn't like us? We just killed 2 million Muslims, so I think there's like 20 Muslim countries. You know, we're cutting off oil to all of Russia and Eastern Europe. If anybody had any kids that froze to fucking death in the last year or two, and they're in Estonia, the Ukraine, or Russia, they can all point to America. That's right, the Ukrainians can all point to America for fucking their shit up, because we fucked with Russia first. Guys, we have the know-how with the books and the novels, okay? John Grisham type books, he does law. But Robert Ludlum specialized in telling the world how to fucking attack America. You've got the data, and thanks to very weak, disgusting people that were advanced over white people, we have the highest level of minorities in America in military and espionage services and in corporate world, which is why it's a fucking shithole most places around the world where everybody's paying $1.50 for Coke, and we have dorm rooms at NC State that have, at Poe Hall, where there's fucking carcinogens, where it's been proven to have killed about 50 fucking people, or near that number soon. And yet nobody at NC State decided to shut down the entire college for the rest of the fucking year. But why would NC State do that when if there was a president in charge, he would have said, what the fuck is going on? Those are citizens, and their parents pay taxes, and you know what? We're going to send in the fucking federal government, and we're shutting down that fucking school, and then we're going to check out all the other universities in North Carolina, because if it's happening at NC State, gee, no knock on NC State, but you know, these carcinogens have been killing for about 25 fucking years, if not 50. NC State is only now rising up to the MIT, you know, and the Caltech of the South. But when I was there in 1994, it wasn't really, it was more like the, we couldn't get into Carolina. There you go. It's true. Or better. But now, if you're the hottest fucking woman at Carolina, you want to marry a man from NC State. But the reason I mention this is that these poisons didn't go to a second-tier university 30 years ago as their first option. So if they were poisoning a second-tier university 30 years ago, don't you think they might have fucking targeted Duke in Carolina? No fucking shit. Which is exactly how you know Kamala Harris is in charge. Because Biden is incapacitated, he has dementia. So a black woman running our country is not protecting the people of North Carolina by not sending in fucking experts that could have rooted out most of those issues within 1 month. I didn't say 1 day, I said 1 fucking month. But instead, kids are going off on spring break and they're going to return to NC State. They'll continue to be fucking poisoned in every dorm room, in every classroom. It's true. Thanks, Kamala. If you vote Democrat, you're a fucking piece of shit and you should die.